Good morning, everyone. Honorable Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Matsuwaledi, Honorable Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Dr. Pandor, Deputy Ministers, Acting Director General Mavuso of DHA, members of government, distinguished guests, foreign dignitaries, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, all other protocols observed. I would like to begin by thanking the Department of Home Affairs for being the host and the people of South Africa for their warm hospitality. We're very pleased to be holding our annual meeting in your country. You have dealt with many of the issues on our agenda this year and have succeeded in developing a well-planned, robust, and inclusive identity ecosystem that is now being leveraged for service delivery, which is the overarching theme of our event this year. Your experience should serve as a valuable model for others to emulate. I thank you for generously sharing it across many of our sessions over the next few days. As the Executive Chairman, now it is my honor and pleasure to warmly welcome you all to the 5th annual meeting of the ID4Africa movement. This year we welcome 1,500 delegates from 95 countries around the world, including a record 650 African government officials representing the majority of the identity stakeholders in 50 African nations. I should point out that more than 60% of the African delegates this year receive financial support through our fellowship program, which we were able to grow by 70% over last year. I take this opportunity to thank all of those who contributed directly or indirectly to enable all of those African civil servants to attend and to make ID4Africa 2019 a reality. We're thrilled with the record engagement across geographies, but also across all sectors. It's an endorsement to what can only be termed our best agenda ever, and a testament to the importance the world attributes today to the role of legal and digital identity in development and humanitarian action. Over the next 3 days, we're going to engage in intense multi-stakeholder discussions and debates around an agenda that not only reaffirms our commitment to legal identity for all as a fundamental right from the start, but also advocates digital identity as a practical necessity that should be leveraged in the service for all. Through multiple thematic tracks with a world-class lineup of presenters, whom we sincerely thank for their efforts and valuable contributions. Our program builds on what we have accomplished together over the last 4 years. But more importantly, it engages with new actors who help us bring into focus new issues and perspectives. For the first time, we are collaborating with MasterCard as a thematic partner for comprehensive Identity for Inclusion track, including strong emphasis on financial inclusion. Through that partnership and the support of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Omidyar Network, and OSF, we brought into this dialogue a significant number of organizations concerned with financial and social inclusions. These include central and commercial banks, treasuries, regulators, NGOs, civil society, fintech innovators, and other actors driving the African inclusion agenda. Another matter bringing new stakeholders this year is the complex issue of privacy, data protection, and appropriate use of identity. We have one major activity dedicated to this subject each of the 3 days, starting with the Roundtable of African Data Protection Authorities, RADPA, being launched this afternoon,
to allow the African DPAs to define a common approach to dealing with privacy in identity systems. The output of RAPCA will be discussed with the broader identity community in specific sessions on day 2 and day 3. Other new stakeholders we are welcoming are the ministries of ICT, who have now become major players in identity development as African nations embrace digital transformation in the context of what's being termed the 4th Industrial Revolution, where human interactions are increasingly mobile and digital. We're also pleased to see strong participation this year from the African private sector. 20% of the private sector attending this year is purely African and unaffiliated with international industry. To me, this is a barometer to the continent's economic future, and its rise points towards better economic times ahead in the IT sector. As you know, this is our 5th anniversary, and on this occasion, we can permit ourselves to look back and reflect on our accomplishments together. Over those 5 years, we have grown all of our vital indicators. Practically, we now have attained Pan-African status, total Pan-African status, and we are only limited by the infrastructure and logistics in our ability to host more than 1,500 delegates. But growth in numbers is only part of the story, and our work going forward will be assessed differently. We're proud of the identity community that we have created together, and which we will continue to reinforce. We're proud of the identity culture that we have nurtured. Both our community and the culture uniting us will be palpable over the next 3 days. Of course, our focus from the beginning has been on promoting dialogue and knowledge exchange within the identity community. We have done that, and we continue to do that through several instruments. In fact, large numbers of African government agencies testify to the important role these instruments play in their planning, decision-making, capacity-building efforts. I'll mention a few of those instruments: the annual meetings, the almanac, the 1+1 capacity building, the surveys, etc. In fact, when asked what do they value most and why they value it, I feel their answers tell a story. They tell a story that they are no longer alone. They are part of this family, and they made it clear that their continued participation helps them deal with their identification problems and reinforce their domain capacity. But there is more. We've also been building institutions to empower African talent. We started with the Ambassadors Program in 2016, which has steadily grown over 4 years to where 43 countries now have designated ambassadors that act as indispensable links between the movement and their national institutions, ensuring we're aware of their and responsive to their needs. Yesterday, we launched another important institution, the ID4Africa Identity Council. This is an advisory body consisting of all the ambassadors. While individually they act as liaisons between the movement and their countries, collectively they form a voice that's purely African, that should speak for Africa on identity matters, and that should provide expert guidance and advice to governments without bias or special interest agenda. During the inaugural session yesterday, the leadership was elected from the 11 candidates that ran for election. We congratulate Mori Kamara from Guinea for being elected president, and Emmanuel Brown from Ghana for being elected vice president. I call upon the governments to engage with the IIC and the donors to help us support the activities and projects of this new institution, which we hope will be sustainable and will be here for a long time. Of course, the General Secretariat of ID4Africa will continue to serve the movement with an established mission. I'd like to thank my team for their passion and dedication to the cause. They have worked with me tirelessly, day and night, to produce this event, and deserve recognition for a job well done. Similarly, our advisory board, who we recognize and thank sincerely, will continue its mission even as it evolves further. This year, we have expanded it, and now 4 principal UN agencies, including the 3 co-chairs of the Legal Identity Expert Group, are represented. This is work in progress as we continue to search for women to join the board. Yes, we have come a long way. We built a community, a culture, and institutions, and facilitated dialogue that builds capacity. We have done it a lot together in 5 years, but there are still significant challenges on the road ahead. Challenges that impact our work and mission and threaten Africa's ability to benefit from the fruits of digital development. I'd like to share my perspective quickly on 5 top challenges in all openness, not to criticize anyone, but in the hope of mobilizing action to deal with them. First, identity systems continue to be politicized in many countries across the continent. We have seen smear campaigns in the media with lasting negative consequences. That's why we recommend that countries engage in transparent national dialogue before they launch identity systems. Dialogue that brings representations from all sectors to work within a non-political technical committee under the supervision of a steering committee representing all political stakeholders. We also specifically recommend working in partnership with civil society in order to ensure informed public buy-in, advance and guard against political manipulations of ID systems along the way. So let us work together to recognize identity as a right and discourage making it a political tool. Second, the second challenge is the continued lack of capacity and the coming brain drain. Unfortunately, as talent is built within the government, it risks being hired away by the international and private sector. This brain drain will impact government across all sectors, especially the ICT. We need to make talent development an even higher priority if we are to boost needed supply. As for ID4Africa's efforts in this regard, we would love to add new capacity building programs. For example, a program for entry-level civil servants. By necessity, our quota-based system process for fellows gives priority for senior decision makers. We need help to be able to earmark a certain budget for young fellows and to encourage the senior leadership to nominate them under new category without fear of impacting their overall national quota. Third, the identity agenda still does not start with data protection and privacy. It feels like the subject is an afterthought. This is dangerous. We need privacy by design from day one, not privacy patches down the line. I call upon the identity authorities to pay attention to this issue. The time is now and the opportunity is here. We've brought the DPAs under RADCA in the hope of building a new kind of dialogue between them and the identity community. Number 4, gender equality. While we've made progress in balancing out the gender inequality, we still have ways to go. We appeal to government agencies to nominate more women. We appeal to foundations and donors to help us create programs that specifically target women participation. But ultimately, we're limited by the lingering gender inequities in the countries themselves. So please help us. Number 5, and finally, borders and travel continue to be difficult in Africa. Every year, we work with the fellows to arrange their travel and help them with their visas, and we feel the pain that Africans feel when they travel, even within Africa. We appeal to the immigration authorities, many of whom are actually present here, to facilitate travel and to adopt visa upon arrival procedures. We applaud regional free movement schemes, such as those of ECOWAS and EAC, and the pronunciations by the African Union on the subject. We applaud national initiatives that adopt game-changing policies and solutions to this serious obstacle to our community building efforts and to knowledge exchange. Yes, there are challenges ahead, but it should escape no one that these challenges are no longer technical. The technology has advanced, and to a certain extent it has commoditized and localized it with many offerings made for Africa by design. I take this opportunity to reaffirm Africa's tech neutrality in two ways. We do not label any technology as good or bad. It is what you do with it and how you do it that solicits our judgment. Second, we do not endorse any specific technological approach or solution to Africa's identification problems, even if they pass our value judgment. We are an inclusive platform of knowledge exchange that gives the opportunity to all legitimate stakeholders to make their case and for the community of end users to choose what fits their needs best. Yes, there are challenges ahead, but I'm confident that we can overcome with the right political will and commitment to work together to achieve Sustainable Development Goal 16.9, legal identity for all by 2030. Perhaps this is a good place to close by launching an appeal to the international community around Identity Day. Last year in Abuja, we called for the recognition of September 16 as International Identity Day in recognition of SDG 16.9. Since then, over 100 international institutions have joined the coalition supporting the call. We are now looking for a country to sponsor a resolution at a future UN General Assembly. We'll be happy to speak if any is interested. In closing, I wish you all an exciting, inspiring 3 days. I'm hopeful that afterwards we will all safely return to our homes, enriched by this wonderful experience shared with like-minded people who care about going the distance for Africa. So let's go Africa, let's go legal identity for all. Thank you for listening.